Hey guys, welcome back to Carstonian Means, and today we're going to be talking about Week 5 Power Rankings, Part 2 to my Power Rankings. These are going to be the top 16 teams. If you're looking for the bottom 16 teams or just the whole list, you go ahead and in the info box or just pop it up at the top of your screen, you should be getting the link to Part 1, which you could either go ahead and watch now and then come back to this video. You could watch it after this video. You could watch it tomorrow. You do whatever you want. But just letting you know, that stuff is there. So if you are a fan of one of the worst teams in the league and you want to see where I put you, this might not be the video for you. Or it might be. Maybe you think your team's bad, but I think they're good. Just stick around. All right. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it. So starting at number 16, they're having a pretty good season. I mean, they're doing pretty good. They're in the 16-9 range. That's pretty good. So at 16th, we are going to go ahead and start it off with the Cleveland Browns, who they scored 49 points against a pretty okay Cowboys defense. And I mean, dropping 49 points on any defense is going to be a pretty good feat, as long as it's not the Jets defense. Anyways, so the Browns, but I mean, they haven't played really well, especially when we've seen Kareem Hunt take off. I would say one of the reasons they didn't move up quite a lot is because Nick Chubb is now on IR, which does kind of hurt him. But we've also seen Baker Mayfield kind of take off. Odell Beckham Jr. last week had an amazing game, which I didn't even know was possible. I'm sorry. And I mean, he had like a 50-yard run to kind of just put the nail in the coffin for Dallas. So I mean, the Browns, they're moving up, and they're looking like a pretty good team. And at 15th, we have the Atlanta Falcons. They somehow managed to move one up. This might have a lot to do with the fact that they managed to get like 250 passing yards without throwing to Calvin really a single time. So I guess that's that's pretty good. I don't know. A move up by one doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, I mean they lost to the Packers, but I don't think anyone really expected them to. I don't think really anyone expected them to win. So yeah, I mean they're just kind of playing exactly how we've seen them play. I think if they had beat the Packers, they would have been launched in power rankings. And since they lost to the Packers, really nothing changed. And then at 14th, if it'll load, we have the Chargers. They move up by 5, even though they lost, and that's because I thought that Tyrod Taylor, he would. We saw him in his first game. He went up against a pretty tough Chiefs defense, and he played really well. Then he goes up against the Panthers, and he doesn't have his best game, but he also doesn't play too bad. So I was thinking that might be what we would see for the rest of the season, but no. He's kind of gone back to how he played in Week 2, and he's come out, and he was. At one point he was up 24-7 to that pretty tough Bucs defense, and the Bucs did manage to come back and beat them. But the fact that Justin Herbert had to force the Buccaneers to come back and beat him. He played well enough that Tom Brady had to have an epic comeback against him. Kind of shows that this team's going to be pretty good. And speaking of pretty good, look right up here. What was I talking about? So let's move on to 13th. We have the Cardinals. They actually dropped down a couple because they lost by 10 points to the Panthers. They don't drop down that much because from what we've seen from the past 2 weeks, the Panthers are actually looking pretty good. If you want to know exactly how good I think they are, again, that'll be in part 1. Spoiler alert, Panthers fans, your team is in the bottom 16. I'm sorry. Maybe next week. Maybe next week y'all will completely impress me. All right, but Kyler Murray, there's been a huge difference between the first 2 games and the last 2 games, in my opinion. He wasn't playing as good as he was in his first 2 games. His defense has been we've seen them on a slow decline, and when you slowly start to get worse playing games, you're going to drop down my power rankings. They are still 13th. They are still top 15. They are still up there, but again, they are, moving down. And in 12th, we have the Raiders. I don't think anyone really expected them to win this game against the Bills. They kept it kind of close, I guess. They're in 12th. They didn't move at all. They're 2-2, and they're playing better they definitely playing better than I thought they would going into this season. And that a lot of that can be contributed to the fact that Josh Jacobs is playing so insanely well, or at least he was. We're going to have to see. They're going to have to pick it back up. They're 2-2 in a really tough division. They're second to the Chiefs, so they're going to have to, put up some points here if they want to, beat the Chiefs. Well, or beat the Chiefs in their division. I don't know if they're playing them this week. And then 11th, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. This might be a bit low for the Steelers, but I think if they had played the Titans this week, I think they would have lost. Just saying. Right now, the Steelers, somehow, I know that this is like a perfect example here, because a lot of people, they get mad that like their team moved down by 2 or something. The Steelers did not play at all this week, and they moved up by 2, simply because of all the teams moving around them, all the teams, how they played. A lot of this has to do with teams around them moving around. So yeah, the Steelers bump up by 2, but really, you can just, they're playing pretty well. Their defense has been playing really good. That's what I have to say. They're playing pretty good. I think they're definitely playing really well. I think they have a pretty good chance of winning this division. As of now, they are number 1 in their division, which after we get past like week 5, we're going to start, after week 1, teams are 1-0, 0-1. It doesn't really matter where you're ranking your division because it's going to change like crazy. But then as you get into like week 5, week 6, that's when it starts to be like, oh, okay, things are getting serious here. It's weird to think we're already a quarter way done with the season. I feel like we just started, man. And then in 10th, we have the Indianapolis Colts here. Their defense is turning into a force. I know they were going up against the Saquon Barkley-less Giants, but still they managed to hold them to 11 points, and they had a pretty dominant performance in my opinion against them. I know they only won by 8, but really it was 19-3 up to the end. So the Colts playing really well. I got kind of worried after that week 1 game, but now they're on a 3-win streak, and they are looking really, really good at this point. Next up in 9th, we have the Titans, who again, they just move up by 1 by default. A lot of teams moving around, and they just get pushed up. So both teams that didn't play managed to move up despite the fact that they didn't play at all this week. So if you're a Titans or a Steelers fan, you're probably pretty happy about that. The Titans, though, I don't know how they're going to, if they come out and play this week, I don't know how well they're going to react to the fact that they've been shut down for a couple of weeks. Or I guess it'll be like a week. We're going to have to see how they can, they're probably having a lot of virtual meetings. It's probably going to be a lot like the offseason, actually. But we're going to have to see how they respond to that. And, if they respond really well, they could move up. So, it's so weird. They didn't play it all this week, so I'm talking about next week's power rankings. Let's go ahead and move on. And then we have so far this season's doing great. If you're talking about a team that's in, if you're talking about a top 5 team in the NFL, you're going to be saying, oh, yeah, they're doing pretty great right now. So, yeah, in 8th, we have the Los Angeles Rams, who dropped down 1 because they only I was talking about the Colts, and I said that they were going up against the Giants. They were going up against the Bears. That's why they moved up. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was thinking of, I thought that I'm sorry. I misspoke. Let's forget about that. So the Rams, they only beat the Giants by 8, but they did win, and they are still 3-1, and they are second in the NFC West. They are being really competitive in there. And yeah, we're gonna have to see if they can keep it up, if they can get a win this week. That would definitely move them up a bit. But right now, they dropped down 1 just because they didn't completely dominate all over the Giants. We'll see what they can do this week. In 7th, we have the Saints, who dropped down 1 because they let the Lions kind of keep it close, and they did win, and finally they were 1-2, and they managed to actually get a win here, which is good. They got back in the win column, but they've been kind of disappointing me, especially ever since Michael Thomas got injured. They've kind of been playing a lot worse. Alvin Kamara has shown himself to be a really good receiving threat, but still they are having, you can see they're definitely missing Michael Thomas. It's weird. Alvin Kamara is now the 5th best. He is 5th in receiving yards right now, and he's a running back. They really need Michael Thomas back. Right now, they are still in 7th. They are still playing really well. They are still 2-2. They're tied for 2nd in NFC South with the Panthers, which I'm sure will change eventually. But yeah, and then in 6th, we have the Buccaneers. They managed to move up. Obviously, they jumped back over the Saints. Last week, the Saints were 6th and the Buccaneers were 8th. Nope. Now the Buccaneers have jumped over the Saints. I don't know what to say. I mean, Tom Brady's been playing really, really well. I mean, their running game has been doing great, and even with Leonard Fournette out this week, they managed to go and they managed to get a win this week. So the Buccaneers, they are looking again like a really, really good team. They managed to come back and beat the Chargers, which kind of shows that Tom Brady still got it, and this offense is going to play really, really well. Now, one thing I will say is that Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, Rob Gronkowski, all questionable for this week against I don't know who they're playing. I'll find out tonight. But yeah, they're all questionable for this week. So it'd be so sad if Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller, Robert Gronkowski, all these guys who are right now questionable, if they're all out if they're all out Sunday, that will deal a huge blow to them. But right now, we're just gonna assume they're all in there. Most questionable players still manage to play. But yeah. Seahawks, they are still in the top 5. They dropped down 1 just because they didn't blow out the Dolphins. That's really all it was. They let the Dolphins kind of keep it close, which we've been seeing these past couple of weeks. The Dolphins has managed to keep it close with like the Bills. They've managed to keep it close like I just said with the Seahawks. But the Seahawks, they do still have one of the best offenses. They have a pretty strong defense here, and I mean they just moved down mainly because they just didn't blow out the Dolphins. That's really all it is. And in 4th, we have the Bills, who move up 1 because they've been playing really, really good. Josh Allen's like an MVP quarterback. Their defense has been playing even better than they did last year. They're looking like one of the best teams in the league. And I'm once again, as they always do when I get to the Bills, almost every single one of our predictions that doesn't have anything to do with the Steelers, because I thought they'd be really bad, that I did this offseason is actually coming true. People got mad at me because I said the Bills and Rams would be doing really good. And now look at it. The Bills and Rams doing really good. That's that. I mean, all I'm saying is that, a lot of times my predictions are pretty good. Just saying. I'm not influenced by money. People always try to say that, the people who are on NFL Network know a lot more than me. I have the same stats that they do. Just saying. The Ravens, they don't move on at all. They did have a pretty dominant performance over Washington. Lamar Jackson going back to his old self, playing really well. Yeah, I mean, he had an off week against the Chiefs, and now, at least against Washington, they do have a really, really good defense. He played really well. He dropped 31 points, and yeah, they're back in their groove. If they had played pretty badly, if they had only beaten Washington by 3, I mean, if they had somehow lost to Washington, they would have dropped. If they had lost to Washington by a lot, they would have dropped like a brick, probably to 32. No. That would have taken a lot. I don't know if that's even possible, but yeah. So now, in second, we have the Packers. Aaron Rodgers has been popping off. He's like a top 5 quarterback there, 4-0, looking insane right now. This defense has been playing amazing. I mean, they're just all around a really, 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 really good team. The one kind of bad thing is that Allen Lazard on IR, of course, and now Devontae Adams is questionable for this week. Devin Funchess is out. So we're going to have to, hope that Devontae Adams is in there. But if Devontae Adams is out, that will definitely deal a big blow to their passing offense. And now you already know, in first place, we have the Chiefs. They have been insane. I considered moving them down below the Packers just because they didn't blow out the Patriots, despite the fact that the Patriots are, at this point, injury-ridden. But they did manage to win. And yeah. The Chiefs are definitely, in my opinion, the best team in the NFL. So, yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching. We do this stuff every single week. Tomorrow, my predictions will come out, and then we've got every single week. Since I'm a Washington football team fan, I do a preview of each game, and that tries to be as objective and unbiased as possible. And then I react to that game, and of course, that's going to be really biased. And then I do a weekly recap and reaction every Monday, and that is I try to be as unbiased as possible with that one. I just go through, talk about what happened that week, and then I do a Monday night recaps, and then I do Thursday night recaps of each game. So we have stuff coming out every single day of the week, Monday through Monday. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Subscribe, follow my Instagram, Twitter, all those links are in my description. There we go. Oh, actually go watch part 1 if you haven't yet. And if you're from part 1, comment. All right, see ya.